The people who founded this country, such as James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, and others, had a great distrust of government, and they said often that as Americans, the citizens, we should distrust the government. Not that we should hate the government, distrust the government, because people abuse power. Madison went so far as to say, take alarm at the first. He said, first experiment with liberties. That's a problem today, because most of the time we don't know what's going on either with the government, and we're not being told so by the media. What's really been happening for years in this country is what an author called Bertram Gross called creeping fascism. And the reason it's creeping and we don't know it's happening as power is concentrated in government is, again, because we really aren't aware of it. This is really highlighted by executive order which was recently issued by President Obama. It's Executive Order 12425. It concerns the International Police Criminal Organization, better known as Interpol. What Obama did is he amended a 1983 executive order which had been issued by President Reagan, which gave Interpol basic diplomatic status in the United States, but which kept Interpol under American law. Under the new executive order issued in December 2009 by President Obama, he completely exempts Interpol, which is a police organization, from the Fourth Amendment, the Constitution, from all kinds of federal laws, and from the Freedom of Information Act. In other words, he's created an autonomous organization on American soil because Interpol is located in the United States Justice Department in Washington, D.C. The Justice Department is one of the most powerful institutions in the federal government, in fact, in the world, because it coordinates all law enforcement agencies from the FBI, the drug enforcement agencies, or what have you in this country. What is amazing about this executive order is that none of the major media covered it in any detail when it emerged in mid-December 2009. Now, some conservative bloggers started talking about it, saying, hey, this guy has basically created an autonomous police organization on American soil exempt from the Constitution, the Fourth Amendment, and all these things. And all of a sudden you started getting some editorials in papers like the New York Times saying, oh, these are just crazy right-wingers, they're paranoid and those kind of things. But what is amazing about this executive order, and it goes back to the theme of creeping fascism, is that it's so obscure that when you read it on the face of it, it takes a team of lawyers to actually sit down and go through the commas and the subsection C's and whatever to figure out what has exactly happened. And the Obama administration did no press releases, they didn't say what they were doing. And so all of a sudden you have this international organization that's autonomous on American soil, and the President of the United States issues an order and doesn't even tell you that's happening. The question is, what does this mean? Or let's say, what are the possible ramifications? We really don't know yet, but what are some possible ramifications of this executive order issued by President Obama? First of all, what has happened here is the President of the United States has created an autonomous police force on American soil that us as citizens, we don't have any access to their records. They're not, the government, even the FBI, cannot, under the Fourth Amendment, go in and search their records and seize their records. So what's happened is we've created an autonomous police force, international police force on American soil that's not subject to our Constitution. What this means is that Interpol, if they want to, and we don't know if they will or not, can do police activities against American citizens, they can investigate American citizens, but again, they're not subject to the Constitution. So the entire concept of rule of law breaks down. Another ramification is that if the FBI, and I think this is the genius of these kind of things when government does it, let's say distorted genius, is that if the FBI, the Justice Department, any of the other agencies, drug enforcement agencies, the Department of Homeland Security wants to give information to Interpol to keep, again, we don't have any access to it. So what it does, it sets American agencies up above the law as well, and again violates the rule of law. Another ramification is Europe is moving toward what is being called the Euro-CIA, or a conglomerate of all the European countries, European Union, into one big central intelligence agency. This will mean that Interpol, if it has access, it will have access to American intelligence, to what's going on in this country. They will share that, and most likely will, with the so-called European CIA. So there will be a European CIA, and something outside the United States will actually have access to data on American citizens. In other words, a foreign intelligence agency will be able to spy on American citizens. Slowly, people are waking up, I think, but it takes a lot of research. It takes detailed analysis, such as my commentary on this particular subject, which again you can read at rutherford.org. People are waking up. The ACLU, it's taken about a year for the ACLU to finally come out and blatantly go after Obama and say he's violating all kinds of civil liberties. So people are waking up, but only in small pockets, and that's what I really fear. And there is a subtle appeal to what we're seeing happening today. The media is not going to tell us what's going on. They're obsessed with celebrity and gossip, and they're doing anything they can to avoid criticizing the new president, which is not their job. They're supposed to be watchdogs. They're supposed to be giving us alarm so we can be alarmed at the first experiment with liberties, as James Madison said. So we're in this really strange mindset. And if we see this so-called creeping fascism coming to America, it's not going to be all of a sudden we're going to see people in black shirts and whatever. And here I want to quote from Bertrand Gross's book, Friendly Fascism, which came out about 30 years ago in 1980, and I recommend it. It's good reading. It's still very relevant and very important. Here's what Bertrand Gross, who was a former presidential advisor, by the way, had to say. Anyone looking for black shirts, mass parties, or men on horseback will miss the telltale clues of creeping fascism. In America, it would be supermodern and multi-ethnic. As American as Madison Avenue, executive luncheons, credit cards, and apple pie. It would be fascism with a smile. As a warning against its cosmetic facades, subtle manipulation, and velvet gloves, I call it friendly fascism. What scares me most is its subtle appeal. Creeping fascism, it would be done with a smile. Have you seen anybody with a better smile than Barack Obama?